How am I, a gal with a dog who needs caffeine to function, and I mean I need caffeine to function, not my dog, and the last impactful thing I went through was my kitchen sink flooding my apartment during a low point in my mental health, supposed to relate to a 7-foot-tall alien hunter? When PredatorBadlands was announced and more details started to come out, I was curious. If you've been here for a while, then you know I am all about the alien, robot, monster, basically the non-human characters with very limited human characters, if those humans are even necessary at all. But for the Predator movies, we're used to having those human characters front and center. So for Badlands to have the main character be a Yautja, look, one thing about me, I am always on board with something new, and this is definitely something new. How are we supposed to connect with this guy? I'm open to it, and I figured it would work, but how am I, a gal with a dog who needs caffeine to function, and I mean I need caffeine to function, not my dog, and the last impactful thing I went through was my kitchen sink flooding my apartment during a low point in my mental health, supposed to relate to a 7-foot-tall alien hunter? I'm rambling, but the way I was able to connect with Dek within 5 to 10 minutes is everything. So let's talk about it. Cast out from his clan, an alien hunter and an unlikely ally embark on a treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary. The synopsis honestly doesn't give you much in terms of meat to the story. It's definitely deeper and more layered than that. So imagine my surprise to find out that this movie explores breaking cycles of toxic masculinity. Yeah, I was not expecting that from a Predator movie. I'm only familiar with the movies, and the Yautja have always been ruthless hunters, right? So to see Badlands explore Dek as an outcast searching for meaning was, again, surprising but so engaging. It's exciting to see the Yautja more fleshed out on the big screen, to see their kind of values and how their patriarchal structure is set up. Yes, I know that there is an argument of a matriarchal society, but for the sake of conversation about this movie, patriarchy. There's this generational cycle of proving themselves through violence that is challenged throughout this film. Dek is forced into an alliance with a Weyland-Yutani synthetic named Thia, and he learns that brute force isn't the only option. If you've seen Predator films before, then you know about strength, honor, and the importance of the hunt, and Badlands reframes everything we've learned so far. Instead of focusing on the hunt and the kill, which this movie does, don't get me wrong, but the emphasis is more on finding meaning beyond the violence and realizing you don't have to fit the traditional mold to be worthy. At its core, PredatorBadlands uses this franchise, a story built upon skilled hunters and the hunted, to explore breaking cycles. It challenges the idea and very real reality that masculinity has to be violent, isolated, and emotionless. By making a Yautja the hero, the film reinforces the idea that brutality and violence are not the only choices. Connection is powerful, especially when compared to outdated traditions. Now let's talk about what works in this movie, because somehow director Trachtenberg is 3 for 3 and single-handedly reviving this franchise. He's taking some seriously exciting and wild swings that surprisingly have worked back to back to back. What I really like here is that he's not using the same formula. I mean, sure, overall it's the same gist, human versus predator, but he's expanding the mythology, expanding the world, and with Badlands specifically, I love that we're more up close and personal with the Yautja through Dek. We're really seeing more interactions, their culture, their clan structure, and their emotional complexities. And maybe this is a hot take because some fans might feel alienated, but it feels incredibly fresh without betraying what makes Predator, Predator. Visually, this movie looks good. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it does look good. There's a lot of CGI, but I love that there is still noticeable practical effects that really stand out. I also love the wide shots of the planet, stunning, fantastic. It feels vast and oppressive. I saw someone online say that it's giving video game cutscene. It's giving Lord of the Rings scale, and I can 100% see what they're talking about. From what we've been getting so far, the world is expanding more and more, so I am definitely looking forward to, hopefully, even more world building. And speaking of which, the way Weyland-Yutani is seamlessly incorporated, chef's kiss. It's very present, but not overtaking the Predator story. It's smart and it opens up so much because you know we stay praying for another AVP movie to follow up the 2004 gem from my childhood, and then we'll have 2 wonderful AVP movies, because Requiem doesn't count. Now let's talk about the characters and acting, because I am obsessed. The decision to make Dek our protagonist was a bold move that pays off so well. Demetrius Schuster Kolomotongi does a fantastic job even under the prosthetics. I'm honestly just surprised that I feel like I totally nailed his name, right? Anyway, he does a fantastic job even under the prosthetics, CGI, and an alien language. His emotional performance is so clear. The tone, the physicality, and expressions all stick the landing, making Dek a compelling and relatable character while maintaining that fierce, dangerous edge. And of course, we have to mention Elle Fanning as Thia. She is an absolute dream. She delivers such a vibrant, charming, and funny performance that almost immediately makes you fond of the character. Not only does she expose the emotional core of the film, but that comedic timing is incredible. And the fact that she also nails her second performance as Tessa is impressive. Two very different characters, and honestly, that just further highlights how much of a spark Elle is as Thia. She is a major highlight of the film. And the chemistry between her and Demetrius, I really like it. It's giving odd couple, unlikely friendship type vibes that work incredibly well with their character types. There's also a fair amount of humor that comes from this dynamic that I was expecting it, but I wasn't expecting that much humor. I will say that I didn't always laugh, but most of the humor really worked for me. Finally, the action. We love action in this house, and the fight scenes are engaging, brutal, and easy to follow. The set pieces use the environment and the creatures of the hostile planet in creative and interesting ways that kept me guessing. Everything is a threat and new, so I was completely locked in, constantly wondering how Dek was going to get through this. We know he's going to, but these moments are still interesting because of the choreography and pacing of the action. And yeah, we might not all be on the same page. I mean, I saw somebody on their phone during the movie, so you might have been bored or whatever. I get it. This movie isn't for everyone. So we're going to get into some criticisms about the movie, and I'll share my thoughts along the way. Unsurprisingly, there were several critiques about the tonal shift for the franchise, and I 100% understand what people are saying. It's honestly pretty drastic, even if you only look at the director's previous films in the franchise, Prey and Predator: Killer of Killers. This is a PG-13, quippy, buddy adventure. That odd couple dynamic is very forward. Depending on your stance, this is either refreshing or beyond disrespectful to the franchise. Furthermore, comments from a movie group I'm in mentioned the Disneyfication or how Disneyfied Badlands is, and I did see this in several critiques as well. There's constant banter, a lighter vibe, and it's all rounded off with a cute character sidekick. All of that coupled with the PG-13 rating, yeah, I get it. And look, PG-13 doesn't mean there's no or limited violence. There's plenty of violence, but they get away with it because we're not seeing red blood spraying everywhere. Personally, I don't mind it too much. I mean, as long as this isn't the direction the franchise continues to go. I don't mind the occasional PG-13 romp, but I still want the franchise to really maintain its focus on the ruthless tension and, of course, that R rating. And that humor I mentioned, not everyone is gonna laugh, and that's cool. Humor is subjective. The whole dynamic between Dek and Thia didn't work for some people who were looking for a darker, scarier Predator film. Some critics also said the jokes undercut the danger, making the tone feel uneven. I can see where they're coming from, and I think I was really watching this like as an action flick rather than as a Predator movie. So yeah, really watching the movie for what it is rather than what I was expecting. But I get it. Now, I know I mentioned earlier that the decision to have Dek be our protagonist was a bold move that I felt worked. Yeah. Some people don't agree, saying the choice to humanize the Predator didn't work for them, saying that once you give the Predator a personality and a moral arc, it takes them too far from an unfeeling, relentless creature the franchise is known for. I mean, the girlies that get it. We've seen them be more than just a killing machine before. Anyway, I understand all of these points, but personally, we've seen the Yautja have layers beyond just ruthless killers, and I'm all for exploring that even more because we're also looking at this franchise with a broader scope, which is interesting. But like I said, I don't want it to be all emotions and relatable Yautja. I still want those merciless killers, but I'm also looking forward to a follow-up to Badlands. Visually, while people thought the movie looked great, people have said that the film leans too heavily on CGI, going even further to say that some sequences look muddy or cheap. I 100% agree about the amount of CGI. I love that Prey was so practical, and while it's not without its use of CGI, overall, it was more grounded and tactile. I love practical effects, and I love that Badlands had plenty of practical elements. I just wish there wasn't so much CGI. In terms of muddy and cheap, I think the CGI looked good overall. Maybe I need to rewatch the movie or watch a specific clip that shows this, but from what I remember, the movie looks really good. So with that all said, let's get into how Badlands stacks up against the previous 2 installments and why this shift feels so drastic when you compare it to what came before. This is going to be quick. I'm not going to talk about the entire franchise. I have seen all of the movies, but it has been a while. My honey and I rewatched Dan's previous 2 Predator films, Prey and Predator Killer of Killers, so that's what we're going to talk about. Prey is a grounded survival horror story set in 1719 following Naru, a Comanche woman trying to prove herself as a warrior. It's stripped back, tense, and has a strong character focus. It is an incredible movie and easily my favorite out of the 3. Its simplicity, that one-on-one survival story that works so well, is what makes it such a strong film. And one thing about me is I love unconventional time periods for genre stories. Predator Killer of Killers, on the other hand, is an animated, violent, experimental anthology that tests or even highlights the narrative possibilities of the franchise. The segments span different eras and locations, expanding the Predator universe in new ways. The animation is gorgeous, and it just makes this franchise feel larger than it's ever felt on screen. Now, Badlands shifts again, this time into a sci-fi action adventure. Instead of humans surviving, we follow Dek, a young Yautja forced to prove his worth on a hostile planet. His unlikely alliance with Thia introduces a clear crossover with the Alien franchise. The film's strengths is exploring the mythology, culture, and society of the Yautja. But compared to Prey's focus and Killer of Killers' commitment, Badlands struggles with the tone, which split longtime fans and critics. At the end of the day, I think Dan is carrying this franchise, and all 3 films show us how diverse these stories can be. I don't want to start ranting, so let's wrap this up with my final thoughts. Is PredatorBadlands worth your time? Honestly, I think if you're open to a fresh, action-packed sci-fi adventure that expands what we know about the Yautja, then yes, this movie is worth your time. Dan Trachtenberg goes 3 for 3 in my opinion. Is this the weakest of the 3? Yes, but it is still a fun and entertaining movie, reinventing the franchise in ways that feel bold, exciting, unique, and entertaining. The visuals are fantastic. Yes, there is a lot of CGI, but there is also a lot of practical effects. The world building is incredible. Yes, we're getting just a bit, but it's on screen for the first time, and what we're gonna see next, I'm really excited. I almost lost track of my thoughts. The emotional core hits, and honestly, when don't they for me, right? Dek and Thia's dynamic is the heart of the movie, and I love them. Who's going to like this movie? I kind of want to say fans of Prey, but I kind of don't because of the tonal shift. I would say maybe if you're open to a new direction and a PG-13 Predator film that maybe feels more mainstream, something you can take a younger family member to or kids to see. There's a lot to like in terms of adventure and sci-fi, the alien planet with interesting and weird plants and creatures, high-tech weapons, big spectacle, action. And if you like that emotional weight in a story, it leans a little hard and maybe it's a little cliche or predictable, but it's still engaging and interesting. And who's not gonna like this movie? Obviously, if you want that R-rated Predator movie that's more true to its roots, a brutal, horror, testosterone-drenched, intense, scary monster picking people off type vibe, you're not gonna get anything like that out of this movie, so it might even feel like a betrayal of what the franchise delivered in the past. Badlands is a lighter, more summer action flick maybe, so if you're looking for more of that horror, tension, or that primal atmosphere, you're better off revisiting a previous installment in the franchise. If you're not a fan of the buddy comedy vibes, then this movie probably isn't going to work for you. There's also no human protagonist. I mean, Thia looks human, but the fact that she's a synth is very obvious throughout, so if you need that human character, then this movie might feel a little detached. Also, if you really don't like a lot of CGI, I think it works. I think it looks good, especially when it's used to enhance a scene, but I know it's not for everyone. At the end of the day, PredatorBadlands is yet another bold shift in the franchise. It takes a chance that either works for you or it doesn't. Even with all the CGI and major tonal shifts, I still had a good time at the theater. I also completely understand why longtime fans or anyone that prefers the franchise's roots could feel like this isn't Predator. If you're open to a Predator story that is different, that focuses on adventure, characters, and world building over horror and brutality, then I think you might find this movie entertaining. Alright guys, as always, a huge thank you for hanging out with me to the end of the episode. If you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on PredatorBadlands, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. This is kind of a list, so bear with me. Last time we talked, I was sharing my thoughts on Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc, which a bunch of people had a problem with. But hey, you can't make everyone happy, and I ain't trying to. Check it out if you'd like to see what all the hoopla is about. I also brought my video on Shin Godzilla over from the podcast, so please check that one out as well if you haven't and you're interested. And as a Halloween treat, I dropped my very first reaction video that I ended up having to post on Patreon. I watched Bring Her Back, and it was an interesting movie. The next reaction video is in the works. I watched Weapons and Y'all. I was so scared. I'm currently editing that one, and I will let you know when that one is available on Patreon. Don't worry, they're both free, so keep an eye on the community tab for updates. Okay, sorry that was a lot, but check out everything that you're interested in. I'm going to leave links in the top right corner if you're watching on YouTube and in the description, and if you're on the podcast, all of those episodes are available as well. And you know I want to hear from you. What did you think of Predator Badlands? What did you think of that tonal shift, Dek being the protagonist, and that PG-13 rating? Like I said, the movie group I'm part of mentioned the Disneyfication or Disneyfied Predator, and I 100% see that, but I also really like this movie. That said, I'm more cautious, aware, or maybe concerned about the future of the franchise, and especially both of them, Alien and Predator. If we have a PG-13 Predator movie, can we have a PG-13 Alien project? I mean, I don't even want to think about it. I'm gonna start yapping, so let me know what you're thinking in the comments, and until next time, spread positivity, be safe, take care of yourself, happy movie watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!